At the 2015 ACA Summit, I had the pleasure of meeting Cliff Duncan. One of the things that Cliff mentioned was he started with 60 subscribers. Actually, I think Rebecca mentioned it. And I wondered, how could you go from 0 to 60 subscribers when you started your company in 1972? Why don't you tell us a little backstory of how you got started?
Sure. I'm fresh out of college, and actually I was seeking and seriously considering a professional career in baseball. And working with an opportunity through my dad's connection in college, whose roommate was the vice president of Chicago White Sox, was trying to get on their farm team in the Cape, and all of a sudden the phone rings one day, and it's the local guy who has a television repair shop and the cable TV company of 60 customers in Wilmington. He says, "Cliff, I know you're just out of college, got your degree in electronics. I want to retire. Would you be interested in buying my company and my business?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't have any money." So anyway, he said, "We'll come down and talk." So long story short, we put a deal together, and I wound up buying a piece of real estate with a building, TV repair shop, 2 gas pumps out front, and 60 subscribers on a cable system that was not on the poles. It was house to house, tree to tree, and little metal boxes with tube amplifiers inside the boxes. That was the distribution system, all RG11, wasn't even hardline coax.
This is 1972, relatively recently.
Yeah, 1972, so 43 years ago. Yeah, and so it was an opportunity, had no idea cable would do what it did. I knew it was a great opportunity from a residual income standpoint because the customers were there every month and you could count on that income. But I took on an awful lot of debt, damn near killed me in 10 years paying off what I owed, because that was the length of the mortgage, because he took back all the paper, and being 70 years old, he couldn't sit for 30 years and wait for me to pay him back. So, but yeah, hard work. Somewhere along the way, we actually wound up in the liquor business in this real estate. Second largest privately owned liquor outlet in the whole state of Vermont. Ran that for 9 years too, and then finally just got 100% into the cable side, and been there ever since.
Well, I could imagine too at the beginning, probably some of your other businesses, the gas pumps and or the TV repair business, probably were as bigger revenue generators, right, as cable? Or?
Well, actually, in the beginning, yes, but when the liquor store happened, that really required all of my time and focus. So I sold the repair shop, but I kept the cable side because the liquor business was a very political one with a board that was appointed in the State House that I was uncomfortable with putting all of my invested career in electronics into a liquor store business. So I wanted to keep something of that original purchase from Mr. Rafus, and that was the cable television company. So I sold the repair shop, and then ultimately a guy who bought that from me built a cable system adjacent to me, wanted to have me as a partner. I couldn't take the time to be involved, which came full circle in 2003, and I wound up buying that system from somebody he'd sold it to down the road. So an interesting segue, if you will, to where we are today with about 2,500 cable customers.
Which is a huge growth, and along the way, one of the things you mentioned is you had an opportunity to really go big and go statewide with some of the properties from a bankrupt large cable provider.
Yeah, Gary Fisk of North Country Cable and I had grown to be great friends over about a 16-year knowing of each other, and been dealing with issues in the state collectively. And Winadelphia, the storybook child of all things family cable cratered, yeah, their properties in Vermont, which was about 80% of the market, became available, and we seriously considered it. But at the end of the day, I just decided it would change my job description to something I didn't want to be. I'm a very technical, hands-on guy. I love the mechanics of our company, and so I could just see myself running around the state putting out fires on a more of a political level than anything to do with the technology, and that I did not want to do. So, you know, it isn't all about money. It isn't all about growth, and Mr. Moffitt was correct yesterday. We talked about how important growth is to any industry. If we have an established base, you can be quite comfortable if you treat your customers right and retain them and are able to keep it moving forward and be viable and competitive without having to have a lot of growth to do that, and be happy.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. He talked about return on capital and his return on the invested capital, but in your case, you look a little bigger and you look at the community, right, when you look at your return on capital.
That's exactly right, because I actually, oddly enough, serve a community where I was born and raised. I went to high school there, and yeah, so it's a different deal for me, but it's all personal investment, and not only of a monetary nature, but of a personal nature. And I take great pride when I drive around our community and I see our customers in the post office and in the grocery store that many of them knew me when I was a little guy, you know, and well, not so many anymore, because that was a long time ago, 43 years ago when I started. But over time, it's a great opportunity. An awful lot of people would just love to live in Vermont, but can't, and I do. And my wife, and we have 5 beautiful children, and I have 2 of them working for our company now, very heavily involved, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing when you can get up in the morning, feel good about what you do, and enjoy going to work every day. I will say the political side of it and some of the ugliness in Washington of late is a huge distraction, and it really takes energy that I could much better send in a direction that would be better for our customers, rather than that I have to be down fighting some of these issues, and I think are kind of mindless, but it's the way it is. If it was easy, I guess everybody would be a cable guy, right?
Exactly. Well, and it also allows you to, it takes you away from doing stuff like this, the Vermont Television Network. Why don't you briefly talk about that? Yeah,
the Vermont Television Network is something I have wanted to do for a very long time, and it is a production effort of Duncan Cable with a videographer we hired. My brother has come on board in sales, and my daughter has come on board full-time to help me with this piece of the company and our cable side. And Vermont is a brand. There are an awful lot of people that identify with Vermont with making of maple syrup, and cheese, dairy products, and it has a huge historical significance in our country's foundation. The Civil War was in many ways was turned around because of the Green Mountain Boys, you know, and those kinds of things are important to people, and they come to Vermont as an experience. And there's so much to tell about Vermont that I just thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a channel that actually dealt with the historical, the political, and the social economic parts of Vermont's history and currently. And so we've developed, so far we've done quite a bit of in-house production on a local level, because it's only available on our cable subscriber base so far. But just at the show I was talking with folks from Hulu, and we actually have very serious intents to take this globally, and we think there's an audience to reach outside of our wired world to talk about Vermont and talk about the kinds of things that people love to come and do in our state: cross-country skiing, alpine skiing, snowmobiling, snowshoeing, hiking, biking, kayaking. It's a wonderful place. We have very clean water, very clean air, cleanest in the nation, and you know that's a brand. Yeah. That's a draw, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to get that word out and have advertisers benefit by our exposure we would bring to them beyond the internet in a way that would be entertaining, engaging, and get people to say, yeah, you know what, let's talk about taking the family to Vermont next summer.
That's great. Well, Cliff, I appreciate your filling us in on giving us a little more insight on what you're doing. So,
my pleasure. My pleasure. Take care. Thank you.